While Republicans are absolutely losing their minds on live TV today, you can see them becoming unglued as they lose control during Donald Trump's disastrous trip to Asia, where I guess Trump's going to pretend to do another deal with China, even though they claim that there was a deal back in May. Remember, Trump did a great deal. So they're just going to redo that whole thing again. No, don't listen to what we said in May. So as these Republican leaders like Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trump's Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy were on live TV, you had like Bessent saying, look, here's my message to the soybean farmers who are all going bankrupt right now and suffering. He goes, I'm a soybean farmer also. You should all know that I'm just like you. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent lived in a pink mansion worth $22 million. He's worth $600 million. He's not a soybean farmer. And then you had the Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy being asked a very basic question. Is it safe to travel on airplanes right now, Duffy? And Sean Duffy does not answer the question yes. He goes, what I'm hearing is that our air traffic control agents are very upset about the Democrats. He's trying to turn it into a politicized thing, and it's so utterly ridiculous. And this while Donald Trump was doing the weird Epstein dance when he landed in Malaysia. So bizarre. Let me show you what went down. This is where Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that he's actually a soybean farmer, so that he feels the pain. He knows what it's like to get his hands dirty. Here, play this clip.
The president has also said he does want our farmers to be taken care of. You did mention that China has been boycotting American soybeans, and American farmers have really suffered. Do you see a real light at the end of the tunnel there? They may allow soybeans again?
Well, Martha, in case you don't know it, I'm actually a soybean farmer, so I have felt this pain too. And there are a couple of things happening here. One, the Chinese have substantially dropped their purchases to almost zero, so they unfortunately have been using American farmers who are amongst President Trump's biggest supporters. I think he had more than 90% support. And then this was one of the biggest crops in 20 or 30 years, so it was a perfect storm. But I think we have addressed the farmers' concerns, and I'm not going to get ahead of the president, but I believe when the announcement of the deal with China is made public, that our soybean farmers will feel very good about what's going on both for this season and the coming season.
I guess what he's referring to is that he owns thousands of acres of land and he rents the land out to farmers as a landlord. So he's saying that makes him a farmer. I guess that would mean if you owned a building and there were law firms, accounting firms, Wall Street firms, advertising firms, that you would then say that you're in all of those businesses. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about there, but that's his justification. Then he's asked about prices going up for coffee and beef and bacon, and Trump said he was going to reduce the prices of all groceries on day one. Another Trump lie, to which Bessent says, oh, you're just picking products that are cherry picking. You're just cherry picking. Like, everybody knows the prices are down right now. Here, play this clip.
Okay, let me ask you about something here back at home. Inflation. We learned this week that inflation in September ticked back up to 3%. That's the highest level since January. I want you to take a listen to something that President-elect Trump told me back in December. Take a look.
I started using the word, the groceries, when you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
Mr. Secretary, coffee prices are up 19% from a year ago. Beef is up almost 15%, and bacon up almost 6%, just to name a few. So when are all grocery prices going to come down, as President Trump promised?
Well, Kristen, it's unfortunate. As much as I like you like to cherry pick. So, when we came in, it was eggflation, eggflation, eggflation. Egg prices are down, gasoline prices are down. Overall, the inflation since President Trump has come in, has come down.
No, Scott, I know maybe in your imaginary world where you're a farmer, you also imagine that there's no inflation. For us in the real world, when we go shopping, like to a grocery store, you know what a grocery store is? I know that was a new word for Donald Trump. When they are scanning the food at the register and it goes beep, 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 it sounds like a heart monitor at a hospital right now. Beep, because when we hear that and we say, how the hell did my groceries cost $350 when they used to cost under $100? That's what Americans are actually experiencing now, Scott. And then Scott Bessent is asked, so why are we giving $40 billion to Argentina right now while taking away $20 billion, or rather taking away health care from 20 million Americans and depriving 42 million Americans of their SNAP benefits? And he goes, Argentina is an ally. So of course it's America first because Argentina is a big ally of ours. Now, Bessent and his billionaire friends have investments in Argentina. There are lithium mines that are in Argentina, and also the currency swap that Bessent envisions is also to help his billionaire friends. But this is going to screw over the American people, and we see this is what their priorities are during the government shutdown. Here, play this clip.
Another big issue, the Trump administration recently extended a $20 billion lifeline to Argentina that has gotten some bipartisan criticism, Mr. Secretary, including from Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia. I'll read you a little bit of what she wrote. She says, quote, Americans are getting decimated with high cost of living and skyrocketing insurance costs. Many of them have zero savings and some are maxing out credit cards to survive. Tell me how it's America first to bail out a foreign country with 20 or even 40 billion taxpayer dollars. How is this move America first, Mr. Secretary?
Well, Kristen, it is America first because we are supporting a U.S. ally. There will be no taxpayer losses. This is a swap line. This is not a bailout. And it is from the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which Treasury, I control at Treasury.
So then they bring in the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, who says, what he loves about, he goes, what I love about this president, what I love about Donald Trump is that when he showed up in Malaysia, he started dancing. And when he was dancing and having a good time, that shows that he cares about the American people because he was dancing. What? It shows he cares because he was doing the Epstein dance that he does? Well, why would that show that? Why is he in Malaysia during a government shutdown? Why isn't he in a room right now with Chuck Schumer, Leader Jeffries, who want to be there, MAGA Mike Johnson, and MAGA Republican Senator Thune working out a deal? Why has he ordered Republicans in the House and Senate not to talk to Democrats, yet alone negotiate with Democrats? Can you answer that? Here, play this clip.
And again, what I love about President Trump, and again, I love that you showed him dancing, having a good time. President Trump cares about the American people. He's tried to minimize the impact of Democrat shutdown on the American people. But there are certain things you just can't stop. And I can't stop the frustration of air traffic controllers. I can't find money to pay them. And again, you mentioned SNAP and you mentioned Obamacare subsidies. These are real pains that Americans are going to feel because of Democrats. And President Trump has done all he can to minimize it. But there's nothing else he can do. And in the end, you got to look at the Democrats and they go, start focusing on Americans, American citizens, and what's best for us. Put America first, be a MAGA for a moment, and open up the government.
Then Sean Duffy talks about how he's going to pull $160 million from California. He goes, I don't like what California is doing. And we're also going to pull their commercial driver's licenses. I mean, what you're going to pull their commercial driver's licenses? You know, the Federal Commercial Driver's License Authority is what was responsible for approving these trucking licenses, and they want to blame Gavin Newsom for what they did. There's not a single tragedy that these MAGAs won't exploit and lie about. That's what they do. They find the worst tragedies and lie about it because they're despicable people. Here, play this clip.
I'm about to pull $160 million from California. And as we pull more money, we also have the option of pulling California's ability to issue commercial driver's licenses. Gavin Newsom cares more about illegals getting commercial driver's licenses than he does the citizens of his own state and the safety of Americans. It's shameful. He's been lying about what he's been doing. And again, we're gonna fight tooth and nail under President Trump's administration to make sure that we hold states like California accountable.
Here, Maria Bartiromo then asks, is it even safe to fly now? You'd hope the answer would be yes, it's safe to fly now. He does not say yes. Here, watch this.
And this could really circulate and be very dangerous. That's why I mentioned this is the choke point. So the bottom line here is you've got fewer people working on the job. Is it even safe to fly right now, Secretary?
So that's job number one, Maria. And again, I need my controllers focused on the airspace, not about the finances at home. They'll tell me there is that seepage of how are they going to deal with those finances. My job is to keep the airspace safe. And so if I don't feel like I have enough controllers or enough controllers that are focused, we will slow down traffic. We will stop traffic. And that's why you see the delays in the system. And the job number one is, again, get people to where they're going safely. And if it's not on time, well, call the Democrats. Call Chuck Schumer if you're frustrated that you have a staffing shortage and your flight's 3 hours delayed or your flight is canceled. Call Chuck, call Senate Democrats, because this is the reason why.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a rough week ahead.
Going back to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he just starts stammering as Kristen Welker presses him on why Trump won't even negotiate with Democrats. It's why I wanted to tie all of these clips in together, because right now they're in Asia refusing to discuss the fact that 20 million Americans are losing their health care, while Democrats are saying, let's talk, let's negotiate, let's try to figure this out. And they're saying that's not a priority right now to Trump and the MAGA Republicans. Here, play this clip.
We're now in the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. When will President Trump meet with Democrats to try to bring this shutdown to a close and get federal workers their paychecks back again, Mr. Secretary?
Well, Kristen, I'm going to have to reject the premise of your question. Why does President Trump have to meet with Democrats? Democrats just need to go into the Senate and vote to end the shutdown.
But President Trump has said in the past, it's up to the president. He's the president. No, he said that in the past. He said you have to be a leader. The president has to lead. You have to get people into a room. You have to get a deal. When's he going to do that?
Well, he is leading, and there's no deal to do with Chuck Schumer.
And then Kristen Welker asks, I think, a pretty basic question to Scott Bessent. Why didn't the president tell the public that he was going to just rip apart the East Wing? It's the people's house. Shouldn't the people know? And then Bessent says, oh, look, we just have to trust him, what he's doing. I love neoclassical architecture. So I love neoclassical architecture. Therefore, Donald Trump should rip the East. What are you talking about? I mean, can we even believe we're having this conversation where Donald Trump has demolished the entire East Wing of the White House, and they just cavalierly say, of course he can do it, and he's going to build a triumphal arc next? What? Here, play this clip.
Why didn't the president tell the public he was going to tear down the entire East Wing, which, as you know, is a part of the People's House?
Well, again, I think this was a judgment call on the president. The president is a master builder. And Kristen, I was for many years on the board of something called Classical American Homes, and I completely endorse what the president's doing here with the ballroom. And I don't know. I assume that maybe parts of the East Wing could have been asbestos, could have been mold, could have not fit with the design. But the classical architecture firm that's doing this is a magnificent structure that's going up.
And then Bessent just tells us how he really feels right here. And he goes, Trump doesn't care about what's going on in America. We're focused on the Pacific right now. So that you can announce another fake deal with China when you supposedly announced that back in May. Here, play this clip.
Whatever is going on back in North America, I think, is taking second fiddle to President Trump's leadership out here in the Pacific.
And then Kristen Welker asks Bessent, why is Donald Trump setting trade policy based on a TV ad that he doesn't like? Here, play this clip.
Issue, which is Canada, of course. This week, President Trump abruptly broke off trade talks with Canada and put another 10% tariff on Canada in response to an ad that the government of Ontario ran. It features former President Ronald Reagan. Why is the president setting trade policy based on a television ad he doesn't like?
Well, Kristen, let's think about this. This is a kind of propaganda against U.S. citizens. You know, it's psyops. Why would the government of Ontario? I'm told that they have spent or were planning to spend up to $75 million on these ads to come across the U.S. border. So what was the purpose of that other than to sway public opinion? And it's some kind of propaganda that the premier of Ontario unilaterally launched.
Will the 10% tariffs apply to all Canadian goods, Mr. Secretary?
Kristen, I've been traveling since this unfortunate event happened. I know that the ad's been taken down. So, we'll have to see. But I just think it was terrible judgment by this premier, who has a bit of a reputation for being a hothead.
And we're in trouble when Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, is the voice of reason here. And he makes a great point. He goes, why are we killing people, these fishermen off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia, on site, not asking questions? But if they survive, we don't prosecute them? Trump's policy is they get to be sent back to their country of origin, whether it's Colombia or Ecuador or wherever, not even Venezuela, and they go free. They don't even get prosecuted. So how is it that you're saying these are the most dangerous narco-terrorists, but if you don't kill them, then you don't prosecute them? Why wouldn't you bring them back to the United States for a criminal prosecution? We all know it's because Trump's killing innocent fishermen and he's engaged in war crimes. And by the way, even if they were potentially drug dealers, that doesn't mean you just kill people or, murder them. You can interdict. How do we know that there wasn't people that they were human trafficking on the boat? How do we know that they're actually the drug? Even if there's a high probability, stop the ship. Maybe you can gather good intelligence to find out where the drugs are actually coming from. You have to do a trial. I mean, you can't just kill. How do we embrace just murdering people without a process at all? I'm not okay with that. It's called war crimes. Here, play this clip.
Senator Paul, I know you said this isn't about a briefing, but would there be some level of information? Because I've heard other members say they are convinced, they have been told that they can specifically identify these boats, the people on board and the cargo on board to the level that they're comfortable. So, Senator Paul, do you think that needs to be a public vetting, or if lawmakers are provided that information, that's enough for you?
Won't be enough, but at the very least, it should be revealed. There's at least two boats. One boat was said to be in distress and trying to get back to land that was bombed. That was said to be a fisherman. I don't know because I don't have any of the evidence. There's also an anomaly in the sense that one of the boats where a bunch were killed, there were two that survived. If they were drug dealers, why wouldn't we prosecute them, present evidence of the drugs, show the arms they were about to invade us with, or show us something? Instead, they're being sent back to Colombia and to Ecuador without a trial, and no one's sort of trying to find out, well, who is the one behind this massive conspiracy to invade America with drugs? They're just sending them back home. So in the one instance, you're killed on sight. On the other instance, if you're captured, we just say, oh, well, we're going to send you back to your country. Doesn't make any sense.
There you have it. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. We appreciate you.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.